Hello everyone, it's Makito here, and today I'm reviewing for the Massachusetts Go Foundation H League. This was the 5th round between Vasher and Zcmbie, and the H League are usually players between the 20Q range and the 15Q range. So let's take a look at this game. So this was a cross game. From what I see with the cross games, in my opinion, usually white does better in cross games because white has Comey. Because black usually can't make huge moyos or potential here. And usually they become smaller territories in fighting more than anything with a cross game. I would say white usually gets the advantage with Comey, but you know, at the lower Q games and even the amateur Don games, I would say that it doesn't matter because we're not professionals and we're not robots. So, you know, we're not amazing at fighting, and turnarounds can happen very quickly. So my point is I just wanted to give my opinion on this. This isn't a fundamental, you know, principle or anybody's mistake or anything like that. Just my opinion is that on cross games, white usually has an advantage because of Comey, and that there's not going to be huge moyos and big potentials. But anyway, good job. Everybody played in a corner, so that's great. Now this is where I had an issue. Not an issue. It's not even really a big deal. But I just want to teach the traditional opening theory and talk about, you know, why this move is a little unorthodox. And so the reason is because this move is on a 3-4 point. Opening theory dictates that if you have a 3-4 point, usually you'll want to enclose it as soon as you can. And the reason is because I've probably explained this before or talked about, like when you have a 3-4, you want to find a way to enclose it with one of these moves I've marked out here, or a large extension, which makes a really big fence post, which will ensue in battle, with black having usually an advantage with the battles. But the reason that I say that it's good to enclose these, and why I was taught this way, was because if we take a look here, between these two fence posts, there's 11 spaces. Between these two fence posts, there's 11 spaces. Between these two fence posts, because there's a 3-4 point, there's 12 spaces, meaning that there's more potential or more territory on this side than any other side of the board. Same with this one. This is 11 spaces, whereas this one's 12. So if there's more potential of making points on this side, this is the most important side and where the player should play. And so that's where these 3-4 points come in, where you're trying to enclose the corner while making like a wall facing this way. So yeah, I hope that helps explain why the 3-4 points, you usually want to enclose them first, because there's just more over here. You could also, like I said, play a large extension, which makes big fence posts between these two, and puts advantage usually for black when there's fighting in between the fence posts. And if there's no fighting, you know, it's only going to be more beneficial for black, because black's going to make a bigger area, because this was the biggest area, right? This is the 12 lines versus the 11 lines. So anyway, let's continue. That's just it's a small mistake. Well, technically, I think the computers don't even label it as a mistake now, because, you know, anything goes in the opening with computers. But I can teach you human and traditional opening theory, and the way that at least we used to look at it makes sense to me still. So let's move on. So this move, you usually never see black play this knight's move here. And the reason, there's multiple reasons, but the first one that comes to mind is that it's just too slow. In Go, you want to move fast in the opening, and you want to make solid points. well, not solid points, but you know what I mean is you want to play fast, and this feels a little slow. So I marked out some moves that would be more beneficial for black. This under attachment is still relatively the same speed, but the difference is that it's putting pressure on white and trying to take white's corner, so it's very active. This move doesn't put pressure on white too much and isn't taking the corner. It's actually giving white an opportunity right now to just fully take the corner and put you into a bad shape situation. But yeah, it doesn't put pressure on white. It's not building a lot of territory. And so that's why that move I would consider is slow or inefficient. So like I said, some better moves would be to pressure white and try and take the corner. Also, you could consider playing a larger extension. These extensions were very common in the 90s and 80s. Early 2000s, they became a little inefficient. They're still fine for our generation to play, like our lower Q levels. But yeah, this used to be played a lot, and now they consider it inefficient, but I couldn't tell you exactly why, to be honest with you. And then you could also consider this 3-space extension. These stones are working with this stone to build a nice territory here. Same with this idea. These stones are working with this area, you know, this stone. And last but not least, you could just Tanuki here and do one of these enclosing extensions, or a large approach. So the point is that, yeah, this isn't making a lot of points. It's very slow. It's not putting pressure on white. So this type of move you want to avoid in the opening. And this was the same exact problem. Let's take a look here. So for efficiency's sake, B was played, and you're possibly going to make 4 points here. Okay? So that is not a lot of points. Now we take another more efficient move. Let's make let's make a very simple one, right? If you were to kick here, and black should respond in some manner, right? Some way. Now let's count the points that you made. So we got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So we have 18 points versus 4 points. So this is that slow versus fast movement, right? Like this is extremely slow move that doesn't focus on the corner and focuses on the side. I'm sure you've heard time and time again not to focus on the side first. You want to focus on the corners first and then the side, because it's more efficient and easier to make more points in the corner than it is on the side. So this was too slow, and I hope I explained that in a way that makes sense. Other than like this kick, you know, I put down all these moves that you could play, and each one of these would be much more efficient than just a 2-space extension. Okay, let's move on. This was good. This is the computer thought it was okay, but once again this breaks opening theory in my opinion, or the direction of play, and I'll explain why. It's very simple, and of course it's hard to think this way when you first start playing, but if you start thinking this way, you'll advance very, very quickly. So if we count how many lines are here, right? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 lines between white and black. Now if we count this, there should be 11. Oop, I messed it up, but you can see 11. Okay. So this is the more efficient side that you can make points from. This is the inefficient side that you can make points from. And the reason is because there's only 9 lines worth of territory here because black placed a stone down here. So there used to be 12. Then when black played here, there's now 9. So this is not the area of the focus of the game. The area should be, or the idea is, in the opening, you should be playing where the biggest amount of territory is. So playing between here is going to get you at least 9 lines of territory, right? Potential, by the way. And this one's only going to be worth 5. This is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you want to play the moves that can give you more territory. I can't stress that enough, or more potential. And that's the idea of the direction of play. If you study and think about the direction of play, you're gonna always have an idea of where the best move should be. You're not gonna know, what the best move is, but you're gonna know the area where you should be thinking of, and so that'll lead to better moves. That's all I can stress on that. Compare B points to C. Okay. Yeah, so I did that already. I showed you. So if you compare B to C, which one's giving you more potential for points? The C is the correct answer. Okay. Let's move on. So, I'm not sure why black would play here. I just don't know. The only reason I can think of is that this was damaged, right? It just lost 2 liberties. So it's damaged. So he wanted to strengthen it. But compare this move to this move. This move strengthens that stone and is building a small amount of territory. But it's territory nonetheless. And it's putting pressure on white. If white was to Tanuki, this really hurts white's group, this corner here. This move, it's very, very, very easy for white just to play here. And now white is making quite a lot of points and is undercutting black. So black's not going to be able to make these points easily. And if black does, like if black spends the turn to play here, this is an empty triangle, which is a very inefficient shape. It's not making a lot of points. And white gets Sente, so now white can play something that outs, or cramp black, or wherever. It doesn't matter. They'll focus on the corners. But the idea is that, white very easily gets to undercut black. Whereas if black plays here, there's no such thing as an undercut here, right? Now it's black's turn to take Sente and make big points. So playing these backtracking moves, this is like backtracking to your stone, is usually not a good idea if you don't have to, and you don't have to in this situation. I wrote learn Hangma, which Hangma is the Korean word that translates to the moving horse. You guys should know what Hangma is, which is essentially the way stones move. So black places stone next to another stone. That's called an extension. Black does a 1 jump. There's a skip here, so that's a 1 jump. This is a 2 jump. This is a diagonal. This is a knight's move, and this is a large knight's move. This is the Hangma, the 6 basic Hangma. And by knowing the names of these moves and using them, you can study how each one is affected when white tries to cut through. And I have a whole video on this I could share with you guys if you want to hit me up. But the idea is that if you knew your Hangma here, that this is a 1 jump, and you knew that white played in here, there's no benefit for white. In fact, white just gets killed, right? And there's an Atari here that white has to protect, and then black can take more points, right? So, by studying your Hangma and learning how how attacking, like the 1 jump and the 2 jump and all that, you'll strengthen yourself. But the idea is that, if you played here, this hurts the corner, puts pressure on white. and builds a little territory for you. This move only protects A, and that's it, because it gets undercut, so it's not really making points, and it's not hurting white's corner. Alright, let's move on. So B, this was a minor mistake, but it comes with a good fundamental, and that's actually multiple. So yeah, when I see B, I think that means that you're afraid of this cutting point, which you should be. You should be looking at this cutting point. But you want to find the best way to protect cutting points. And there's multiple ways. Like looking at this cutting point, you can attach, or just like this, you can connect. You could tiger mouth, protecting this cutting point, right? Tiger mouth this way, protecting this cutting point. You could play this knight's move, which makes what I've heard have been called the Mickey Mouse ears, right? You think of this as a mouse. These are the ears, and I guess that's the face or the body or the nose, right? But this move, you know, leads to, if black cuts, you know, black dies, right? Like there's nothing for black to do but die. So there's multiple ways to save this cut. The most efficient way is to save your cut while building territory, and this move accomplishes that. If we read now, if you want to pause the video and try, read this cut, and you have 2 Ataris, so evaluate which one's better for you. But if you want to pause it, you can try that now. And if you did or didn't, let's just continue with the answer. The idea is that because white strengthened himself here, black has no way of living if black cuts. So there shouldn't be any fear of this cut, and this is the slowest way to protect that cut. So it's better to find a faster way if it protects the cut and builds you territory and undercuts black. So this move does multiple things. I wrote it here. You know, the fundamental rule is you should read your cutting points instead of just connecting blindly. And this allows you to undercut your opponent, and it allows you to focus on taking points in the corner. So it's a 3-purpose move that's, you know, excellent. Like I think I told you guys before that each move you play, you want to have like a dual purpose, at least 2 reasons why, not just one, as like this move only has 1 purpose, whereas this move has 2. Well, this move has 3 purposes, so that's like an ultimate move. It's like an ultimate special in a video game, right? Like that's awesome. So anyway, we'll move on. Let's look at the next thing. All right, so B, this was, I don't know if I wrote down like a fundamental, which is settle your weakness. So you can see that A and B are surrounded by a lot of white stones. So to me, they look like they're the weak group. This is a problem. They don't have eyes. They're in a bad situation. This stone is working with these 2 stones. So this stone isn't the focus or the worry. You don't have to worry about this stone right now. You got to worry about these stones. So when that happens, you want to settle your weaknesses. So the group on the bottom is much weaker and can be settled with a move like A. I might have taken it away. Let's see here. So yeah, a move could be settled like this with A. Unfortunately for B, this move here is B. It doesn't connect these groups. So because this move doesn't connect these groups, then it's more efficient to settle your stones. And this is the perfect opportunity to show you when to attach or hit other stones. This is the time when you're weak. These stones are very weak. So now is the time where you want to touch your opponent, so that way when they get stronger, you get stronger, right? It would go something like this. This is the most common one. So, you know, a black touched white. So now white needs to get stronger. So white counterattacks. Black has now lost 2 liberties, so black is now weak. So black needs to get stronger. Playing something like this is a little too cramped. It's not going to make enough eye space. So black comes up with his own counterattack. Now, white usually plays on top like this. Black has to connect because he's Atari'd. And now if white was to come here, black could cut these off, make these weak, and then is going to get a kill somewhere. So white usually connects this way, and then black connects this way. And you can see that black is making eye shape. He's one move away from taking this corner. If white was to play somewhere else, then the whole corner is black's. And if white defends this, well now, yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying this is the best move, but this move alone should be able to make this black group alive. And if this is alive, then you don't have to worry about it, and you can start fighting and having fun again. But you can't have too much fun until your group is settled, until your weaknesses are settled. Because if you're getting attacked, then you're not having a good time, right? Like if you're just getting bullied the whole game, that's not fun. Alright, let's continue. So this was a major mistake, in my opinion. You spent all these moves, right, to separate black here. So if you were to play A, C, or D, then these two groups are not going to be able to play with each other again, right? They're never going to be able to connect. That's the Romeo-Juliet split. So now B becomes insanely weak, and A is undercut, which is awesome for white. So this type of split is really good, and it's unfortunate that you missed the opportunity to do so. C might be even better than A, or this move, because it puts pressure on these two stones. It's leading to a bad position for black. And D also keeps these two groups separated, so either one of these moves is fine, as long as you keep these groups separated and make this weaker. So for that fundamental, keep your opponents divided and you will conquer. I mean, as long as you keep black weak, you're going to have a good time bullying him around or killing him, one or the other. So this move was unfortunate. And we talked about it in the last review, but I don't know which order you guys are watching this in. So let's take a look. If B touches black, black now has the opportunity to get stronger. Black can just connect under, and now black has no issues. Everything is alive. So when you have stones that are weak, you do not really want to attach to them unless you're going to kill them. But when you attach to them, know that they have a chance to get stronger. Always. That's always the case. And so like this is an attachment, and this gives black an opportunity to get stronger, right? Like this is giving black an opportunity to get stronger. So that's why this move is hands off, and so black can get stronger, but then white can make sure that he has limited eye space, right? And same here, like white can undercut black, so this eye space is a little compromised right now. So anyway, we'll move on. But yeah, this was a big mistake on white, and then black also made a big mistake. Breaking the tiger's mouth is good locally, but you really should just consider running away with the bank money you just got. Like, you're a robber and you were just given an opportunity to get away from the cops, but you instead continued to look for more money in the bank. That's how I can explain that. So the point is to stay connected. If you have an opportunity to stay connected, you're not going to get killed, and you're going to have a better time in the game. Like, it's going to lead to more victories, right? Keeping connections with your friends leads to more victories. Okay, and the last thing, let's take a look. So this move is bad for multiple reasons, I would say. But the main apparent one is that this is the area of focus. Black is one move away from almost getting killed. So this needs to be the area of the focus, right? You can't, what they call is tanuki, you can't move away from the focus area when it's concerning life and death. So that's what this move does. It's playing somewhere else when this is the important area. I heard the saying in one of the Go sayings, I guess you could call them, is don't go fishing when your house is on fire. So this home is burning down. Like it could be killed and broken apart and burned. And instead you went fishing. You went somewhere else. So that's what that saying means. So, you know, play in the important areas. Don't tanuki when life and death are involved. Alright, let's take a quick look at the AI and we can cap on this review. So this one I'll keep at 3 points also. Actually, never mind. I'll go to 1 point so we can talk about all the stuff we talked about. Like this move, even though the computer says it's only -2, I mean -2 points is a lot. You really can you can lose by 0.5 and go. So every move is efficient. So by playing backpedaling moves like this, white can be undercut, right here. So this is also what I was talking about. This was a cutting point you didn't need to attach here. You have 4 or 5 options to protect this cutting point, and this is the slowest one. So you should much rather look for moves that do more than just one thing, right? Like this move does one thing, whereas this move does 3 things. So yeah. We didn't talk too much about this move. I don't think it is apparently a problem, but I think it's fine because it's putting an attack on these 2 stones and stopping black from making this area. It's just saying white could take better moves. So like we talked about B, where if white kicks here, it puts black in a bad shape and white gets 18 points. So this is a very good move. A, the computers love just invading for 4 points, so I know why it wants to play here. But we'll move on. We talked about this and how because this doesn't connect all these stones, it's not a good move. So instead you should focus on creating moves that help you settle to get 2 eyes quicker. And so a move like this would help settle things. I said this was the move I would choose. I'm curious what the computer picks. Oh, okay. So, oh yeah, obviously it's white's turn, so black can't play right here right now anyway. Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's check the next one. Yep, you can consider this a mistake because this area is already like working together and strong, and this area is super weak. So this is a mistake because you should focus on the weaker area, not the stronger area. We didn't talk about this, but it's saying that, you know, B would be better, which we did talk about B being the under attachment to settle. And then we talked about this. This was a bad move. So white was winning, you know, by a good hefty 8 points. That's pretty good. And then within one move, you know, white lost almost its whole lead, and now the game's pretty much back to even again. We talked about this. Staying connected is important. So if dividing your opponent is important and weakening them, then staying connected and not being weak is the opposite, which is the good play for black. Yeah, it's just saying all these moves are bad, but I didn't really see too many fundamental issues with them other than this one. This one, like I said, A should have been played here. Once you played here, this was a -10 point move, which is really, really huge. It's a huge mistake. So A needed to be played to connect these groups. Don't go fishing when your house is on fire. Don't tanuki when there's life and death situations. Okay. The review is at the 30-minute marker. I think I'm going to stop it here. This does give you a lot to work with. So please, you know, look this over and consider these fundamental principles. and I'm hoping that they'll help rank both of you up. So I appreciate you guys playing in the league. I hope I see you in the next league, and I hope you have a good day. Take it easy.